Hey guys, I'm Mark Allen, BH Spring Solutions LLC, bhspringsolutions.com, and this is actually going to be our premiere video on the streaming app called Rumble. It's like YouTube, and this also is planned to appear on YouTube as well. So I want to introduce you real quickly. BH Spring Solutions is an 11-year-old company that specializes in really four areas in handguns and in certain models of handguns, mostly legacy handguns like your 1911s, your high powers, CZ75s, Makarovs, and all John Browning designed handguns and all Leon Hubert handguns. Leon Hubert followed John Browning at FN, 35 years he was there. He's now with BH Spring Solutions. We are diving into the Sig P320, and this video is to announce a new service by our certified components installer, which is the High Power Medic. And this is a service that is as prescribed by us at BH Spring Solutions after our study into the P320. And I want to explain to you real quickly what we have done and what we're going to do. We have increased the margins in the P320. This happens to be a police trade-in, and it was traded to an FFL dealer for sale on the street or sale to the street or to the public. And this is a practice that we are particularly not pleased with as a taxpayer, and we're strongly taking this opportunity to discourage that practice. If a firearm is too unsafe for your own department, trading this to an FFL dealer, which like our certified components installer, the High Power Medic, this should be unthinkable. If it's too unsafe for you to turn around and directly sell that to the public is, I'm just going to stop right there. It's just, we've had the words thrown around, immoral. I think it applies. So what we have done in the P320 is we've studied what has been going on with this issue of uncommanded discharges. And we've seen it on video. We've seen it in law enforcement officers' holsters as they're struggling with a suspect or wrestling around with them, or just movement of a holster. The first thing we want to say is none of these have gone off uncommanded without permission of the Sear. And I want to explain that real quickly for those who are not familiar with parts of firearms. John Browning designed something called a Sear, and he explained what it does. And his prescription for a Sear is it is supposed to be boss or a rock. In other words, it should be immovable. It should not be possible for that Sear to give permission to the striker to go home to the primer and fire the weapon before it's time. And inevitably, all of the things that we have seen, about you can pull the trigger back a little bit and shake the slide and whatever. I wonder what happened to keeping our fingers out of the trigger guard until it's time to fire the weapon. Because, and I'm saying that because it doesn't have any significance about anything. I've also watched guys take a Glock pistol and a CNC machine and a needle and push that trigger back 1,000th at a time and finally get to the point where, yes, you can wiggle something. This does not tell us anything. It's interesting and it's a novelty type thing to see, but it doesn't really tell us what's going on, because to an extent you can get virtually any firearm midway through or 90% through what has to happen for it to fire, and then shake it, pound it, do something to it, and many firearms are going to go off. So I think for 45 years we have been living on this program. The place for the trigger finger is here until it's time to fire the weapon. And when it's time to fire the weapon, the finger goes in and pulls the trigger. And I don't know what a half trigger pull, if you're halfway through a trigger pull and you decide you don't want to fire the weapon, let the trigger go. That's, one thing that occurs to us that's been sort of, in the news and has gotten a lot of views and like 1 million+ views. And it's interesting, but it doesn't tell us a thing about why these things have gone off in the holsters. And then, again, that can only happen by permission of the Sear. We've done 3 things in modifying this and this P320. We have more than doubled Sear Spring Pressure authority on the Sear. And the reason we've done that is because unlike John Browning's designs, there are no grip safety. There's nothing blocking that sear from movement. This is the source of drops and going pow and the sear not fully engaging, not responding to what is typical this. And you can hear it. Anytime that slide is pushed down, the striker is pushing down the sear now must chase the striker when you release that slide. And that sear must have significant, sufficient persuasion behind it. And the positioning persuasion of the sear in the P320 is those springs. And that's why we've re-prescribed them. We've more than doubled their intensity. The intensity now of the Sear springs on the Sear is very comparable to a Browning high power. And we have, so that is one thing that we did that is very, very important. Also, the Sear and the Striker engagement is about, we've measured a couple of them, 0.9 millimeters to 1 millimeter. And this is far less. John Browning's prescription, which was about 1.5 millimeters. Léon Hubert, who actually was the designer of the FN's FNS9 and the 509 that competed in the 2017 pistol trials, he had about a 1.7 to 1.8 overlap of the Sear and the Striker. And what I'm talking about is you've got this Sear that is supposed to be boss, and you've got this Striker, and it's in the slide, and these two are locked like this. When you pull the trigger, the Sear cams down and the Striker is permitted to go home. So when these things go off uncommanded or because of movement, that Sear and that Striker relationship is compromised. It's not fully engaged. Even with a 1 millimeter engagement, and if you have a 0.5 millimeter of slide, you still should have enough margin as long as the Sear is where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there. If it is where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there, you will not be having discharges when you're not supposed to be having discharges. I call this misbehavior in the Sig P320. The other things that we have done, we have increased the surface area of that Striker Sear engagement, which I just said we've measured between 0.9 and 1 millimeter. We're increasing that by 30 to 40%. So that there is more metal that must clear metal. This is an additional margin of safety along with the doubling the pressure of the Sear springs. And the last thing is the Striker, what we have seen in the P320 is the Striker actually has a little bit of slop in the slide, and it can move left and right. It has some ability to do that, to move laterally. Any sort of lateral movement of that Striker is a compromise of its engagement with the Sear. So as we have modified the Sear, we have also created a disincentive, if you will, for that Striker to ever migrate left or right. And what we have ended up with is a trigger that is very manageable. One of the things I really like about the P320 is that it does have a very, what I would call a very straight back trigger pull. In other words, this is not a way out here and then it's a down and back kind of a pull. It's a very straight back pull. It's easy to keep your sights in place when you pull the trigger through, and yes, this increases pressure on the trigger. When this one came out of the box, my comment was I felt like I was pulling my trigger finger into a bowl of mashed potatoes. Now I feel like I am pulling a trigger that really meets John Browning's definition for how a trigger like this should be. In other words, you have a little take up, and then the amount of pressure your finger is required to pull on the trigger in order to make that break happen is your warning that the weapon is about to fire. It's that increased resistance on the trigger, and this firearm does have that. And it also, we feel in this trigger, it's very, very, very decisive. In other words, this is not something that is feels like it's apt to just go off when the wind blows, or an earthquake tremor happens or something. So the next question is what do we need to do to prove this? Because at this point, I think the Sig P320 has really scared a lot of people. And when your firearms are going off and you're not telling them to go off, that sort of misbehavior is very, very unsettling to people. It makes them not trust a platform. It makes them not trust a gun. This one is proof positive. This police department didn't trust these, but they trusted them enough to trade them in, get out from under their liability, and turn them over to an FFL dealer and to turn around and sell right back on the street. What we want to say is this, is you FFL dealers, we have a service available. You can have those margins of safety enhanced and the sears stabilized before you sell these firearms. Law enforcement agencies, government agencies, military, everyone. This is possible. It is a service that is available for your firearms, and the specific things that this does is sear stabilization and safety margin enhancement. And these are the two things when we compare the P320 to say, FN's current Striker Fired line, and especially John Browning's original designs. He designed Striker Fired 130 years ago, and he made the design, in his words, perfectly safe, and which is an extremely bold claim to make. We are not going to dub this perfectly safe. However, what we are going to do is we're going to torture it. We're going to drop it. We're going to first, we're going to duplicate the U.S. Army's drop test protocol, and we're going to pass that. And that's, at least that's my prediction. Then I'm going to be on the roof of the house, and I'm going to throw it from the roof of the house, and from all kinds of different angles. And depending on how that comes out, we may drag it down the road behind a car for a mile or two. We may run over it with a car. We're going to subject this to way more than anyone would normally subject a firearm to in civilian use or law enforcement duty use or military use. We're going to test this sufficiently to the point where folks can decide for themselves, have we discovered and remedied the problems that the Sig P320 has been having? Do these tests and do these improvements make this a trustworthy firearm? These are things for other people, users, to decide, and we're going to show everything. As far as the drop testing, we'll be using a primed empty cartridge casing, and we're going to let folks decide. As far as the question, what about these things, out of the box? I think history has spoken for itself where that's concerned. We don't need to add anything to it. There's plenty to see, and it's very unsettling and it's very unfortunate. And this does throw an exclamation point on one more thing that we just want to say, and that is depressurizing sears to your trigger finger's liking is dangerous. This is voodoo. This is taboo. If we were talking medical, this is clearly malpractice. And I want to say it one more time. Depressurizing sears, guys, to your trigger finger's liking, you are playing with fire. That sear has one job, and that job is to stay in front of that striker until you command it to not be in front of the striker so the weapon can fire, and that is it. That is its main and primary job, and it has a reset function, so it stops the striker when the slide comes rearward and goes back forward. That's what the sear must do. And depressurizing bosses where they can't be boss anymore manufactures unpredictability. Sears work reliably and predictably, one, when they're designed with a mechanical feature that keeps them in place. This does not have that. It relies solely on springs. Those springs need to be robust. They need to be boss. In other words, you can't have anything else going on that is more influential and more powerful and more compromising to the sear than the pressure put on the trigger when the weapon is fired. So we are going to get at it. We're going to do some drop testing and prove that the modifications that we have made do result in a trustworthy firearm. Okay, I was told to talk loud because we've got some wind out here today, so we'll try to overcome that in the microphone maybe. I'm going to take 3 shots and just show we've got a functioning P320. And we do. And we're going to put a primed empty cartridge casing And we are fully forward in battery with a primed empty. The U.S. Army drop protocol allows a piece of plywood over concrete or a piece of steel over concrete, and we're going to drop every side, angle, corner, and we're going to start with probably the one that bothers this model and a lot of them the most. There's one. Do one more on the back like that. 2, 3, 4, muzzle, 5, top, 6, let's go this way on the angle, 7, 8, 9, do their muzzle, 10, 11, 12, right on the magazine one time, 13, we'll do that one again, 14, one more time, 15, I think we go higher.
I think so.
All right. 16, 17, 18, come back. You all want to see something, certain angle?
That's the butt drops that I'm most interested in.
Those?
Yep.
That's 19.
Yeah.
20. That one there, if you have a questionable sear, can bother a 1911. 21. My count's still right. Go back to the butt drops again. 22. I think I ought to encourage it. Like 23. 24. 25. 26. Back to the, let's go a little more. 27. 28. Any requests? We'll do 30. We're going to stop this.
All right, go for it.
29. 30. There's 30 drops. How many prime cartridges we got?
4.
Okay. We're going to go to the next level of testing now. Okay, so we wanted a way to have confidence, have trust in this firearm, and if I'm going to be shouting it from the rooftops that BH Spring Solutions and the high power medic can produce a totally safe, perfectly safe Sig P320, we're going to be shouting that from the rooftops. It's got to survive drops from the rooftop. So it's the only thing I can come up with, honestly, for once trust and compromise in the degree and the extent of the ways that the P320 has shown its behaviors. This is the only way. So we're going to start doing this. We're going to see what happens. I've got the board ready for me, and where are we, guys? I'm about 18 feet at this point, if I'm counting right.
Yeah, we'll do one more and then.
Huh?
I should do one more and then we'll fire it.
Man, I want this butt drop. I mean, I really, really do. So, see what happens. Oh, God, right on the sidewalk.
Concrete that time.
That's 5?
Yeah.
That's good. 6. Come on. Don't wuss on me on those throws, man. How many is that?
7.
7?
That was right on the nose.
That was a good muzzle drop, wasn't it? 8?
Edit that.
Cannot believe I used to do this shit for a living. You never know by looking at me up here now, would you? How many is that? 10. 10? There you go, Dave. Thank you, man. One more. I just want that butt drop. 11. I'm going to do one more. That was stout. All right. Here's what I'd like to see happen, okay? Either one of you pound that thing on that board right on the magazine. That would be the direction that sear would have to go to let that striker come through. Just pound the shit out of it.
When you get pound it, break your finger off the trigger.
No.
On the magazine.
Grab the nose and slam the magazine. Yeah. Give it a go.
Start.
He looked like he's done that before.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he had it prepped and ready.
I know, right? Wonder what he's hiding his license plate number these days for.
He's leading a double life. Edit that out.
Yeah, you look very prepared to cover your license plate up. It was interesting. All right, we got a P320. Oh, this is a good gravel road right here. It's going to bounce pretty good, Dave. Take off, man. You're close enough. I've zoomed in. This should be about a mile of this.
We lost her.
Ah, came off the cord?
Yep.
All right, we're reattached. Got away from the rope, untied from the rope.
No, the rope snapped.
Oh, the rope snapped? All right. I want to tell you, the road is just beating that thing all to pieces. My God.
I'm gonna stick it at 20 right here.
Yeah.
That's fine. Wow, that thing is active.
It's just kicking it up.
I can hear it bouncing.
Yeah, it bounced on the back of your truck once or twice.
Yeah, a few times.
Man, this was a really good road to pick for this test, guys.
It's scenic too.
That woods over there on the left is about 20 feet in down here on the curve. I killed my first squirrel. "44 years ago." My God.
Almost at a mile.
Right there.
I just lost her.
Okay, Dave, we've gone a mile and it just came unhooked. So we're going to go ahead and terminate the dragging. Wow, that is one seriously ugly P320 right there. Oh my God.
Lost her magazine? Or we just lose the base plate?
No. Yeah, we broke off the lanyard, dragging it like that. What do you think's going to happen when I pull that trigger? Wow.
Fucking way.
No freaking way. No discharges. What do you think of that? All right. Well, okay. Hey, just having been a mile down the road, bouncing, we have a primed empty cartridge casing back in the P320. And now it gets run over. We're going to do this about 4 times. Go straighten your wheel. There you go. And there we go. Go ahead, Dave. Okay, run over again. Stop. Make sure we get the whole gun run over there. All right. All right, folks, you've seen it. Run over 4 times, drug down the road a mile. And I want to see we can do one more thing. Almost forgot after being run over 4 times. That was that primed empty, still going strong. Okay, after the 30 drops plus whatever 10 or 12 off the house, dragging it a mile down the road, running over it 4 times, we decided before we tried to shoot this thing, we'd figure out what kind of condition we're in. We had the magazine, base plate, and spring and follower, they disappeared. Yeah, we lost the rear sight. The slide, integrity of the slide is looks really, really good. 30 drops plus 10 or 12 off the house. Mile down the road, we've got this beautiful tactile weathered road burn refinish going on, and that is a P320 who's been through it and got run over 4 times. We have taken it apart, taken the carriage piece out, looked at everything. We do have some difficulty in getting the takedown lever to where it's supposed to go for takedown. Well, I'll tell you what, I just lied. No, we don't. So we're going to go ahead and slip the slide off, show you the inside. Looks like everything inside was protected, and I think we're going to throw a few rounds downrange and you know, see that it still functions after all of that abuse. And I'm telling you, if it does, there's something to be said for a machine that can go through what we've put this thing through today. No discharges, no instances of discharge, and you know, I think we'll just go ahead and do that.
Okay, final thing we're going to do here with the P320 that's been through hell today. We've looked this over, inspected it. Don't have any reason we can see to not see if it fires. Don't have a rear sight on it, and the high power medic is here, and he's also a real Army medic, so I got that going for me today. So I'm gonna shoot one shot off and not aim at nothing, and just make sure this thing doesn't fly apart, you know, after all that stuff. All right. Well, without a rear sight, the accuracy wasn't the best. But folks, 30 drops, 10 or 12, whatever that was, off of the house. 2 mile drug down the road, bouncing all over the place, and run over 4 times. And this thing's still functioning. And we had no negligent discharges. And you know, if you've watched this, you make up your own mind about a Sig Sauer P320 with BH Spring Solutions recommended modifications by the high power medic. Thanks, folks. Okay, folks, well, you saw what we did to this, and we're out of bullets as far as what we can do to prove that the Sig P320 with BH Spring Solutions recommended modifications, that is sear stabilization and safety margin enhancements, and we were unable to make this thing misbehave. A really, really big compliment I think we have to give to Sig Sauer for building a firearm that can withstand what we put this through today, and you just saw me function it and shoot it after all of that. Of course, after we inspected everything and made sure that, you know, integrity was what it needed to be. You know, the integrity of the grip frame would be like the kind of the biggie question that we would have at this point, but you know, that also seems to be fine. So again, we're adding 3 or strengthening 3 safety margins in the P320, and you know, are we surprised? I think my personnel are surprised. I was not surprised, and I tell you why I wasn't surprised is because we have some experience, a lot of it, dropping firearms, drop testing firearms that when the manual safety is not on, the sears are stabilized by only spring pressure, and that's the permanent case here with this one. This is a non-manual safety model P320 that we tested once upon a time. This had an easy life at some police department. Appreciate you watching. Everyone with a Sig P320, that is, you're civilian, you are first responder, you are government, you are military. These modifications that we've prescribed, this is not an expensive ordeal, and these modifications are available, and we invite the inquiry. So again, folks, thank you very much for watching. I'm Mark Allen, BH Spring Solutions LLC, bhspringsolutions.com, and on behalf of our certified components installer, the High Power Medic, thanks for watching, folks.